Okay, a quick update, follow-up video on these face mask straps that I did recently. They weren't coming out particularly cosmetically clean. I was getting a lot of these dimplings, which are probably residual moisture in the plastic. Polyurethane is hygroscopic, picks up moisture, you have to dry it for a few hours, and the equipment I've got for drying it isn't perfect, so I think that's probably what that is. You can also see a few flow marks here where the gate, obviously here, the plastic is bifurcated and come down the side. Not a major problem that, but I was also getting some really quite significant bubbles showing up, and I was getting a lot of duff parts basically because I couldn't quite get rid of those. I think it's partly due to the way it's gated and the way the plastic's flowing. Possibly it just needed a bit more venting, I don't know, but I wasn't happy with it anyway. So I ran off enough of those to circulate and get some feedback, and they were put in the hands of some care workers locally who tested them out. Wasn't actually expecting people to wear them over the top of the head like that. I designed it to go around the back of the neck, but nevertheless they seem to work there. Obviously they're too long, they were using the central pips, so I need to do another version and get rid of that bit. And they also pointed out that this material is quite slippery, which it is. It has a very low coefficient of friction, and this is one of the reasons why we use it for the wrap straps, because we want them nice and supple and easy to use and slide through themselves easily, so we use a low friction material. It's also got excellent tear resistance, which is why they use it for shoe soles. So knowing that there's a problem with the surface friction on these things, and knowing that I was getting various problems with drying and air pockets and probably just steam building up in it, I decided to run off a batch in a different material. This is a Santoprene. I bought this years ago. I don't actually know what grade it is. It's basically a synthetic rubber which I think is co-polymerized with polypropylene. I don't think it's blended. It is compatible with polypropylene. I have tried mixing it to stiffen it up, and that does seem to work. This doesn't need drying. It feels kind of like wetsuit material. I suspect this is about a 60-70 A shore hardness, so it's quite flexible, but it does have a lovely rubbery surface finish to it, and it's dead easy to mould because this stuff doesn't melt. Basically you just push it into the mould with enough force and it sets up. It is unfortunately a little bit too weak on the ends here, but if I can get a slightly stiffer grade, in fact I had a look on eBay and found something that was a same material but a little bit stiffer than this, and that's what I've been playing around with. But it's got a good grippy finish and dead easy to mould. So I then put together a whole new mould for it. Initially this started out as a single-sided mould, and it's basically a shorter version of what we had before, same concept. I put these little gaps in the middle with some rings around them, kind of like octopus suckers if you like, so it's a bit tentacular I guess. That was just to give it a little bit more surface texturing to stop it slipping. And I ran a few of these off in the Santoprene material, and they came out okay. I was finding, however, that when I tried to pull the runner out, pull the gates out to free it from the mould, it was tearing slightly, and because this is a rubbery material, it wasn't tearing very clean. So to get around that, I basically added an extra runner at the top here, which gave me enough to pull these things out, so I was moulding them pretty quickly. But then what I found is I was getting a weld line issue at this end down here, and if I get one of these out, this is the slightly stiffer Santoprene that I found on eBay, and you might be able to see here that there's quite a significant weld line. This is where the plastic is coming down and back up on itself, and also coming this way and meeting. And because this is a stress point where the elastic's going to pull on, that's the worst possible place to have a rather dodgy weld line. And I was actually getting some burning after I've been running this for a little while, suggesting that the air was compressing and overheating and basically burning the plastic at that point, so I was getting some black marks. So then I had to modify the mould again and put a runner top and bottom which fixed that. So this is exactly as moulded now, and I also added some extra vents just to get the gases out, and to finish it off I added a couple of guide pins and did a faceplate on the other side just so that I could make these double-sided. The original ones were simple single-sided moulds, so the back is just flat and then all of the detailing's on the other side, but I thought, what the hell, let's do it properly. So this is what I ended up with. So we've now got about 3mm thick on the clasp parts here, where the buttons are, and because this is a slightly stiffer Santoprene, that is well robust, and that I've got one actually here that I've already rigged up, and that you can really pull on, and that's not going to come undone in a hurry. So I was quite happy with that. The texturing works reasonably well. This plastic isn't quite as grippy as this because it's harder grade, so it's got a little bit more polypropylene in it. That doesn't mean it's recyclable along with polypropylene. Just need to cut along these side runners here to free the parts, and it seems to be working okay. So I need to mould a load of those off and see how they come out, and I've already prepared some instruction leaflets, so some very dodgy artwork just showing how to use it and how to cut a face mask if you've got one of the overhead types, which is what this one is, and basically just cutting the elastic on opposite sides and then retying it. You can convert it to an over-ear mask, and then instructions showing you how to actually use the item. So all I need to do now is run off a few hundred of these, I guess, pack them up, get them out to people, and see what people make of it. This material isn't terribly cheap. I think it's getting on for £10 a kilo, and these are weighing in at 20 grams or so. So yeah, they're doing them at cost. They're probably going to be about 20-25p each, I would imagine, but I can churn out as many as people want. So that's an update on that project. In the meantime, some other stuff has come in, but I'll do a separate video on that. I think that's enough for this one, apart from doing a bit of moulding and running up some stock. And now that I've got a mould that I'm happy with and moulds reasonably effectively, this is one I've produced in about 3.5 hours. There's 1,000 here, plus a few others, because you obviously get, when you change colours, you get a few mottled ones which can just be scrapped and go back into black. Although some people do seem to like the tie-dye effect, but I'll keep them to one side anyway. Still got to strip these down. I was originally hoping to just be able to tear these off down the runner, but because this is a fairly rubbery material, it's not breaking as cleanly as I would like along that edge, so I'm just scoring down it with a knife, and that seems to take them off quite quickly. So now all I've got to do is bag them all up, which will take a couple of hours, I imagine, at least, but anyhow, it's doing the business and producing reasonably good quality parts.